That's why we can't allow junior staff to meet with clients, Vicente interrupted, cutting off my presentation. His voice echoed through the elegant conference room, making me freeze mid-sentence. 20 pairs of eyes shifted from my drainage system plans to my burning face. Your alternative approach lacks practical experience. The conventional method has worked for decades. I gripped my tablet tighter as Vicente smiled condescendingly. He'd been director for exactly 6 months and seemed determined to crush every innovative idea from anyone below senior level. The client, an older woman from urban planning, adjusted her glasses. Actually, I'd like to hear more from... She squinted at my name badge. Then her eyes widened. Are you related to Edmundo Ramos, the engineer who revolutionized flood prevention during the coastal disaster? Vicente's smug smile faded as she looked between us. Yes, I answered quietly. He's my father. Before I continue this story, you need to know that revenge doesn't always come with dramatic confrontations. Sometimes it's the quiet dismantling of someone's power that brings the greatest satisfaction. If you've ever been underestimated or pushed aside, you'll understand why I couldn't let this slide. Has something similar happened to you at work? Hit that like button and subscribe because I'm going to show you exactly how I turned the situation in my favor. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I need to know someone else understands what it's like to have your career threatened in a 15-minute meeting. My name is Hope Ramos. At 28, I've spent my entire life trying to escape my father's shadow. Edmundo Ramos isn't just an engineer. He's the engineer who developed systems that saved thousands of lives during our country's worst flood disaster. His methods revolutionized urban planning worldwide. Growing up as his daughter meant teachers expected brilliance, and classmates assumed favoritism with every high grade. I graduated with honors in civil engineering, then made a decision that shocked my family. I applied to Aqua Green Engineering with a simplified resume that downplayed my academic achievements and didn't mention my father. I wanted to succeed based on merit, not family connections. My father never knew I applied there. One call from him would have secured a senior position. Instead, I started at entry level, working twice as hard as everyone else. For 2 years, I earned modest promotions through dedication and innovation. My immediate supervisor, Thomas, recognized my talents, but everything changed when he transferred and Vicente arrived. Vicente came from a prestigious firm with slick presentations and outdated methodologies. In his first week, he rejected 3 innovative proposals from junior staff, including my water conservation model that could have saved municipal clients millions annually. His mantra became, "We follow proven protocols. Innovation comes with seniority." The morning of that fateful client meeting, I'd spent hours preparing my alternative drainage approach. The city's aging infrastructure couldn't handle another rainy season without upgrades. And the conventional method would mean 3 months of disruptive construction. My solution cut that time in half while improving water dispersion by 30%. Vicente hadn't even looked at my proposal before the meeting began. After the client recognized my name, the atmosphere instantly shifted. Vicente stammered. Miss Ramos has been a valuable team member, though she's still developing her experience. Perhaps we should discuss both approaches. Grace Herrera, the urban planning representative, removed her glasses. I'd very much like to hear Miss Ramos's complete proposal. Having Edmundo's daughter working on our project seems quite fortunate. The rest of the meeting transformed. Vicente enthusiastically nodded to each of my points, claiming he'd always appreciated my fresh perspective. The same ideas he'd dismissed minutes earlier were suddenly innovative considerations worth exploring. I felt empty despite winning the room. This wasn't recognition of my work. It was the power of my father's name. Walking back to my desk afterward, my colleague Paige caught up with me. "That was something else," she whispered. "Vicente looked like he'd swallowed a frog when he realized who your dad is." Paige Nunes had joined the firm 3 months before me. Brilliant and understated. She'd developed a revolutionary water filtration system that Vicente had rejected last month without even testing the prototype. We'd become allies in the fight against his outdated thinking. "I hate that it happened this way," I admitted. 2 years keeping my background quiet, gone in 1 second. "Maybe it's for the best," Paige suggested. "Now he can't keep dismissing you." But he'll keep dismissing everyone else, I said. Including you. She shrugged. I'm used to it. Women of color in engineering. We develop thick skin. That night, I received an email from Vicente requesting a private meeting the next morning. I spent the night debating whether to mention my father or pretend nothing had changed. The next day, Vicente greeted me with unusual warmth. Hope? I've been reviewing your file. Your work has consistently exceeded expectations. I think you're ready for more responsibility. I kept my expression neutral. Interesting timing for that realization. His smile flickered slightly. I've always valued your contributions. Perhaps I haven't expressed it clearly. You expressed yourself very clearly yesterday, I said, before and after learning who my father is. Vicente leaned back. Your father's achievements are impressive, but that's not why I called this meeting. The city project needs someone with your perspective. I'd like you to lead the drainage system redesign. The opportunity was exactly what I'd been working toward, but the circumstances felt wrong. What if I decline? His confusion seemed genuine. Why would you? It's a career advancement. I want to earn my promotions, not receive them because you're afraid my father might call. Vicente's expression hardened. That's unfair. Your work deserves recognition. It deserved recognition yesterday morning, too. And Paige's filtration system deserved more than a dismissive rejection. That system had practical implementation problems, he insisted. Problems you never bothered exploring because Paige is just a junior engineer. He sighed heavily. I understand you're upset about yesterday, but this opportunity— I'll accept it with one condition, I interrupted. Paige's filtration system gets proper evaluation and testing budget. Vicente hesitated, then nodded. I can arrange that. I left his office with mixed feelings. I'd secured testing budget for Paige's project, but at what cost? Would my colleagues now see me as someone who leveraged family connections? Over the following weeks, Vicente's behavior toward me changed dramatically. He invited me to senior meetings, praised my input, and repeatedly mentioned how he'd always seen potential in me. However, his treatment of other junior staff remained unchanged. Ideas were dismissed without proper consideration. Innovation remained the domain of senior engineers. Paige's filtration system received its promised evaluation, but with minimal resources and restrictive parameters. When it inevitably underperformed under those limitations, Vicente smiled sympathetically. See, this is why experience matters. Good concept, impractical execution. I watched Paige's shoulders slump as months of work were dismissed. That night, I called my father for the first time in weeks. Dad, how did you handle people who refuse to see value in new approaches? Edmundo Ramos's laugh rumbled through the phone. You found one of those, didn't you? Engineering is full of them. People who mistake familiarity for reliability. This director at work. He's stifling everyone, especially younger engineers. Ah, the old guard. They forget that every proven method was once an unproven innovation. He paused. Does he know you're my daughter? I hesitated. He knows now. That's part of the problem. He treats me differently but still dismisses everyone else. Then you have influence, my father said simply. Use it wisely. I don't want special treatment. Then don't use it for yourself. Use it for others. His words stayed with me. The next morning, the announcement appeared in our inboxes. The annual Innovation Challenge was opening for submissions. The winning project would receive full funding and implementation support with significant bonuses for the team involved. This was my opportunity. I approached Paige during lunch. Let's collaborate on an innovation submission. Your filtration system paired with my distribution model. Her eyes widened. Vicente will never approve it. He won't have to. The judging panel includes the board of directors and outside experts. But if we win, he'll be assigned to oversee implementation. I smiled. Exactly. The plan crystallized over the next few days. We'd create a proposal so technically impressive that the judging panel couldn't ignore it, but structured in a way that Vicente couldn't possibly understand its core mechanisms. He'd be forced to either admit his ignorance or pretend knowledge he didn't possess. We worked evenings and weekends refining Paige's filtration system and integrating it with my distribution model. The result was beautiful in its efficiency. a water management solution that would save municipalities millions while improving quality and reducing waste. The submission form asked for recommended implementation leadership. Instead of naming ourselves, I listed Senior Oversight, Vicente Hidalgo, Technical Development, Ramos Nunez Team. Page questioned this decision. Why give him credit? Because this isn't about credit, I explained. It's about exposing competence or the lack thereof. When finalists were announced, our project made the cut. Vicente called me to his office immediately. Congratulations on making the finals, he said, smiling broadly. I'm honored you recommended me for oversight. You're the director, I replied. It seemed appropriate. Absolutely, though I'll need comprehensive briefing on the technical aspects. I nodded. Of course, though the board presentation will have to come from senior leadership. His smile wavered slightly. Naturally, I'll present the overview and you can handle any detailed questions. Actually, the guidelines specify that the named project leader must demonstrate comprehensive understanding. Support team members aren't allowed to answer questions during the final presentation. Color drained slightly from Vicente's face. I see. Then we should schedule several detailed review sessions. We had 3 review sessions over the next week. In each one, Vicente struggled to grasp the fundamental principles behind our system. Paige and I explained using increasingly complex terminology, providing just enough clarity for him to think he understood before introducing new complications. The day before the final presentation, Vicente looked overwhelmed. Perhaps we should simplify the explanation. The board includes 3 PhDs in engineering, I reminded him. They'll expect technical precision. Vicente spent the night reviewing our materials. When he entered the boardroom the next morning, his confident facade couldn't hide the anxiety in his eyes. His presentation started smoothly with prepared slides, but fell apart when board member Dr. Mendoza asked about pressure differentials in the filtration subsystem. Vicente looked at me desperately before attempting an answer that revealed his fundamental misunderstanding. I maintained a neutral expression as board members exchanged glances. Perhaps, said Dr. Mendoza, we should hear from the technical team that developed this. Miss Ramos, Miss Nunez, while protocol suggests Mr. Hidalgo should handle questions, would you mind elaborating? Vicente had no choice but to agree. Paige and I explained our system with precision and passion. The board was visibly impressed, asking penetrating questions we answered with confidence born of genuine understanding. When the winner was announced the following week, our project was selected unanimously. The board's feedback noted, revolutionary approach with clear technical mastery demonstrated by the development team. If you're enjoying this workplace justice story unfolding, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Ring that notification bell because the second half reveals exactly how I turned the tables on Vicente. And trust me, the satisfaction of watching him realize his position was about to change forever is worth every second. Now, let's continue with how the revenge plan really comes together. The victory celebration was bittersweet. Upper management praised our innovation while Vicente hovered nearby, smiling tightly as executives congratulated him for fostering such creativity in his team. No one seemed to notice or care about his failed technical explanation during the presentation. The system that mattered in corporate environments was working as designed. Credit flowed upward. That night, as Paige and I shared a quiet dinner to celebrate, she asked the question I'd been avoiding. So what now? We won, but Vicente still looks good to management. I twirled my fork thoughtfully. The presentation was just phase 1. Implementation is where things get interesting. The project timeline gave us 6 months to go from prototype to full implementation. Vicente scheduled our first technical review with stakeholders for the following week, clearly trying to establish himself as the project authority from the start. The morning of the review, he called me to his office. I've prepared the presentation slides, he said, turning his monitor to show me. I've simplified the technical aspects to make them more accessible. I reviewed his slides, noting how he'd reduced our complex filtration mechanisms to basic diagrams that omitted crucial elements. These simplifications create inaccuracies, I pointed out. The stakeholders need to understand the actual process. Too much technical detail will confuse them, Vicente insisted. 3 of the 5 stakeholders have engineering backgrounds, I countered. They'll notice the inconsistencies immediately. Vicente frowned. Fine. Add whatever technical slides you think necessary, but keep them in the appendix. We'll only refer to them if questions arise. I nodded and returned to my desk where Paige waited expectantly. He's setting himself up perfectly, I whispered, updating the presentation with properly detailed technical slides. Not in the appendix, but in a separate file. When the stakeholders arrived, Vicente began confidently with his oversimplified presentation. Barely 5 minutes in, the municipal chief engineer raised her hand. This overview seems to omit the pressure differential mechanics that made your proposal superior to conventional systems. Could you elaborate on that? Vicente paused, clearly searching for words. Of course, the pressure differential creates efficiency through advanced flow dynamics. The stakeholders exchanged glances. Perhaps a more detailed explanation, the engineer pressed. Vicente looked at me desperately. I opened my laptop and displayed the technical slides I'd prepared. If I may, I've prepared some additional materials that might address your question. For the next 40 minutes, I explained the system's core innovations, while Vicente stood awkwardly aside, occasionally interjecting with generic phrases like, exactly as we envisioned, or precisely the advantage we identified. By the end of the meeting, it was clear to everyone who actually understood the project. As we packed up our materials, the municipal engineer approached me directly. Miss Ramos, I'd appreciate if you could be my direct contact for technical matters going forward. Vicente overheard and quickly inserted himself. All communication should flow through appropriate channels. As project director, of course, the engineer interrupted smoothly. But for technical questions, I'd prefer speaking directly with Miss Ramos. Efficiency, you understand. This pattern repeated in subsequent meetings. Vicente would start presentations, struggle with technical questions, and eventually cede the floor to me or Paige. Each time, his authority eroded further while our credibility grew. 3 months into implementation, we faced our first major challenge when groundwater complications threatened to delay construction. Vicente called an emergency team meeting, visibly agitated. This setback could cost us weeks, he announced. We'll need to revert to conventional methods for this section. Paige raised her hand. Actually, our system can adapt to these conditions. The modularity we built into the filtration components allows reconfiguration. Vicente dismissed her suggestion immediately. That's too experimental. We can't risk further delays. It's not experimental, I countered. It's precisely why our system won the innovation challenge, adaptability under variable conditions. Theory is different from practice, Vicente insisted. I've made my decision. Rather than argue further, I nodded. We should inform the stakeholders of this change. They'll need to approve the additional budget and timeline extensions. Vicente hesitated. Is that necessary? Absolutely. Conventional methods will increase costs by approximately 30% and extend the timeline by 5 weeks. That requires stakeholder approval. Color drained from Vicente's face. The project was already under intense scrutiny from upper management, who'd promoted it as both innovative and efficient. Explaining why they were abandoning those benefits would raise uncomfortable questions. Perhaps we should explore Paige's suggestion more thoroughly before making that decision, he conceded. Paige's reconfiguration worked perfectly. The groundwater problem was solved without delays, further cementing our technical credibility while highlighting Vicente's reactive conservatism. As the project neared completion, results exceeded expectations. Water quality improved by 40%, while operational costs decreased by 25% compared to projections. Local media covered the innovation, interviewing municipal officials who praised the forward-thinking engineering approach. The success caught attention from neighboring counties. Representatives from 3 municipal authorities requested meetings to discuss implementing similar systems in their regions. Vicente scheduled these presentations eagerly, clearly seeing them as opportunities to rebuild his damaged reputation. The night before the first presentation, I received a call from Grace Herrera, our original client. Hope, I wanted to give you advance notice. The county commissioners were so impressed with your work that they're proposing an expanded regional project. They specifically requested you as project leader. My heart raced. That's unexpected. Not to me, Grace replied. They recognize who actually understands this system. Your director will be informed tomorrow. I thought you deserved to hear it first. The next morning, Vicente conducted his presentation with renewed confidence, unaware of what was coming. When he finished, the county executive smiled and delivered the news. We're prepared to commit to an expanded implementation across 3 counties with Ms. Ramos designated as project leader. Her technical mastery has impressed all our engineering consultants. Vicente's expression froze. Ms. Ramos certainly has talent, but as her director, I would naturally oversee any expanded implementation. The executive shook his head. Our proposal specifically requests Ms. Ramos's leadership. It's non-negotiable. Vicente struggled to maintain composure while agreeing to discuss internally and respond to their generous offer. Back at the office, he immediately called me to a private meeting. This situation creates an awkward reporting structure, he began. Perhaps we can propose co-leadership of the expanded project. I kept my expression neutral. The client seemed to have specific requirements. Requirements can be negotiated, he insisted. I have significantly more managerial experience. True, I acknowledged, but they're prioritizing technical expertise for this implementation. Before Vicente could respond, his phone rang. A call from the CEO requesting his immediate presence upstairs. He returned an hour later, his expression unreadable. The next morning, the announcement landed in everyone's inbox. The company was creating a new innovation implementation division focused on cutting-edge water management solutions. I was named division head with Paige as deputy director. The expanded county project would be our division's inaugural initiative. Vicente remained director of conventional engineering projects, effectively sidelined from the company's more prestigious and profitable new direction. The announcement included a statement from the CEO. This restructuring allows us to leverage the exceptional technical innovation demonstrated by Hope Ramos and Paige Nunez, while maintaining our commitment to proven methodologies under Vicente Hidalgo's experienced leadership. In corporate speak, Vicente had been demoted without changing his title. His path to further advancement had effectively disappeared, while our careers accelerated dramatically. Our new division received twice the resources of standard departments. We hired 8 new engineers, all selected for their creative thinking and collaborative approaches. Our office space was relocated to the newly renovated East Wing with state-of-the-art facilities and direct access to the research laboratory. 3 months into our division's existence, I received an unexpected email from Vicente requesting a meeting. He arrived at my office looking noticeably different. Designer suits replaced by more modest attire. His confident stride now measured and cautious. "Thank you for seeing me," he began, taking the visitor's chair across from my desk, the same desk where he'd once sat while I stood before him as a junior engineer. "Of course. How can I help?" Vicente cleared his throat. "I've been following your division's progress. The innovations you're implementing are impressive. I've been considering my own career trajectory and feel I could contribute more effectively in a forward-thinking environment." I raised an eyebrow, waiting. "I'd like to request a transfer to your division," he finally said. "I believe my experience could complement your technical expertise." The moment crystallized everything I'd worked toward. Vicente Hidalgo, who had dismissed and belittled junior staff for months, was now requesting to work under my supervision. The man who'd considered me unqualified to speak in client meetings now needed my approval for his career advancement. "Interesting," I said, echoing his own dismissive tone from countless meetings. "What specific contributions do you envision making?" Vicente shifted uncomfortably. "My project management experience could help optimize implementation processes. We've actually developed new implementation protocols that have reduced deployment time by 40% compared to conventional methods," I replied. "But I appreciate your interest." Hope and desperation mixed in his expression. We both knew his current position had become a professional dead end. The company's focus had shifted toward innovation, leaving his department with declining resources and visibility. I could have rejected his request. Part of me wanted him to experience the same dismissal he'd so casually inflicted on others. But revenge wasn't my goal. Transformation was. "I'll consider your request," I said finally. But I need to be transparent. Our division operates differently. Ideas are evaluated on merit, not seniority. Everyone participates in innovation development regardless of position. Could you adapt to that environment? Absolutely, Vicente replied too quickly. I've always valued fresh perspectives. I nodded, not bothering to challenge that historical rewrite. Very well. I can offer you a position as senior engineer on my team with a 3-month probation period. Your first assignment will be working under Paige's supervision on water efficiency protocol development. Color drained slightly from Vicente's face. Paige, the same engineer whose filtration system he'd dismissed months earlier, would now be his direct supervisor. Under Paige's supervision? He asked, trying to keep his voice neutral. Paige is now our director of technical development, I explained. She has the most relevant experience for your integration. Will that be a problem? Vicente swallowed hard. Of course not. I'm eager to learn from the entire team. 2 weeks later, Vicente began in our division. I watched from my office as Paige patiently explained the fundamentals of our advanced filtration systems, the same concepts he'd declared impractical without prior investigation. To his credit, Vicente adapted better than I'd expected. His ego had been sufficiently bruised to make him genuinely receptive to learning. Paige, with her characteristic grace, guided him through the technical complexities without ever mentioning his previous rejection of her work. A month after his arrival, Vicente approached my office with a proposal. I've been reviewing the Northern County implementation protocols, he said. I think we can optimize the installation sequence to reduce total time by 2 weeks. I reviewed his proposal carefully. It was solid, showing genuine understanding of our systems and intelligent application of his project management skills. This is a valuable improvement, I acknowledged. Presented at Friday's team meeting. During the meeting, Vicente presented his optimization with humility he'd never shown before. When junior engineers asked questions, he answered with respect and admitted limitations of his proposal. After the meeting, Paige approached my office. He's really changing, she observed. Yesterday, he spent an hour explaining pressure differential concepts to one of our new engineers. Patiently. People can change when circumstances require it, I replied. The question is whether the change is genuine or just survival. 6 months later, I had my answer. Vicente had developed a mentorship system for new engineers, pairing senior staff with juniors for research projects. His first proposal included funding for 3 junior engineers to develop ideas that previously would have been rejected without consideration. I want to ensure good ideas never get lost due to hierarchy, he explained when presenting the program. I've seen too much talent wasted by rigid structures. Watching him present with genuine passion about fostering innovation, I realized my revenge had evolved into something more powerful, real transformation. A year later, our division had grown to 30 employees and implemented water management systems in 8 counties. Vicente had been promoted to operations director, overseeing implementation of all our innovations. During our annual review meeting, he did something unexpected. Hope, there's something I need to say, he began. When I first arrived as director, I made terrible mistakes. I underestimated talented people, including you and Paige, based on prejudice rather than merit. I nearly destroyed valuable innovations through pure ego. He paused, clearly struggling with the words. What you did, exposing my technical incompetence while giving me the opportunity to learn and grow, was masterful. You could have destroyed me completely. Instead, you transformed me into a better engineer and a better leader. I smiled, feeling the weight of 2 years of tension finally lift. Perfect revenge isn't destroying someone, Vicente. It's helping them become who they should have been from the beginning. He nodded, understanding completely. Will you ever fully forgive me? I already have, I replied, the day I decided to hire you. 5 years later, our division had become an independent company, pioneering water management technologies globally. Vicente led our European operations, applying the same mentorship and innovation philosophies he'd learned during his transformation. Paige had established a research laboratory in Costa Rica, developing water solutions for rural communities. Her systems now provided clean water to over 100,000 people. As for me, I'd finally emerged from my father's shadow, not by escaping it, but by extending his legacy in ways he'd never imagined. The sweetest revenge isn't the destruction of your enemy, but their transformation into an ally. Vicente had started as the obstacle to my career and become one of my most valuable collaborators, not because I'd forgotten his earlier behavior, but because we'd both transcended it. The real victory wasn't proving I was right, but creating a world where good ideas could flourish regardless of who proposed them. In the end, everyone won, and that, I realized, was perfect revenge.